Good evening, everyone, and welcome to This Week from Rockdale. And as usual, I am your host, Larry Cox, and it's great to have each and every one of you joining me tonight. Now, what we want to do tonight is I'm going to welcome you guys to the show. We want you to share and like the show because we've got our good friend, Judge Cuthpert, coming on here in a second. So, Charlotte Gellert, welcome to the show. William Campbell, Marie Withers, Mary Boysworth, Lisa Lancaster, great to have you here tonight. Uh, we have George Kelichek. We have Jill Oden. Great to have you here tonight, Jill. We've got a nice audience joining us tonight. We've got a good number so far. Why don't we continue to share the Fit Life with Danielle Munoz. Now, guys, I'm going to let you guys a little secret here. Danielle will be hosting the show next week. We've discussed this. We're pulling up my interview one week. So I will be the person being interviewed on this show next week, and Danielle will be hosting the show. She will be the special guest host of This Week from Rockdale, and I will be the candidate under in the hot seat next week as Danielle interviews me. So welcome Sandra Jackson Lett, welcome Stacy Bonner Lewis, welcome Corliss Turner. Welcome to the show, people. Without further ado, let's go ahead and bring on our guest. Judge Cuthbert, it is great to have you here. I know the fans were expecting to see Clarence Thomas tonight because he was billed tonight in the Rockdale Voters, going to be the guest tonight, but he couldn't make it, so you were able to substitute for the justice, I believe.
Well, thank you, Larry, for having me here on This Week from Rockdale. I appreciate the opportunity, and I'm just happy to be here with you.
That's great to know. Great to know. And the audience is building. Just to let you know, we are doing have a good viewership tonight. So just let's start this out. Why don't you tell the people who you are, where you come from, and why you're running for office?
All right, I am Clarence Cuthpert Jr., and I'm here as a candidate for Superior Court Judge. As most of you know, in 2016, I was elected as a probate judge here in Rockdale County by the citizens of Rockdale County, and I was reelected in 2020 after serving a full term as probate judge. In 2021, I was appointed by Governor Brian Kemp as a state court judge here in Rockdale County. And in 2022, once again, the citizens of Rockdale County elected me to a full term as the state court judge. And then prior to becoming the probate judge, I practiced law throughout the state of Georgia in the federal, state, and local courts for 20 years. And for 17 of those years, I operated Cuthpert and Associates. I'm also a licensed mediator and arbitrator, and I have been since 2006. And prior to attending law school and practicing law, I was employed in several different positions in law enforcement for several years.
So you've got quite a resume when it comes to all of the law, as far as being a law enforcement officer, an attorney, a probate judge, and state court judge. You don't find many people with that kind of resume that are running for judge anywhere in America.
Well, absolutely. I would say that I have a well-rounded sense of experience in the law from various angles.
Yeah, and that's good for the citizens. Well, Judge, you've served as probate judge, and you've served at state court judge, and now you're seeking this new office as superior court judge. How does this judgeship differ from the two other judgeships that you've had, and what experience have you gained to be able to prepare you for this new judgeship?
Well, let me just say, as the state court judge, I was required to resign on March the 1st of this year in order to officially qualify as a candidate for a Superior Court judge. So I'm required by law to resign, which I did on March the 1st. But while serving as the Chief State Court Judge, I presided over misdemeanor criminal offenses, civil lawsuits, traffic court, the domestic violence court, presided appellate review for lower courts that were not happy with the decisions they received below, and they had the opportunity to appeal to the state court. I also handle warrant application hearings as far as arraignment hearings, probation revocation hearings, and also jury and bench trials. And I presided over the DUI accountability court. As probate judge, I handle contested and uncontested estate matters, guardianships, and guardianships for minors and adults, and that involves the decision making regarding the health and welfare of the minor or the adult. And I also presided over conservatorships for minors and adults, which relate to appointing someone to manage their assets when it's determined that they're not capable of doing so. And then I also served as the trier of fact or the sole decision maker as probate judge, the same as I did in state court in bench trials. So in probate court, all of the decisions that were made or that had to be made were made by me as the probate judge after a hearing and an opportunity for the parties to be heard. And so I believe that those experiences then certainly makes a transition to Superior Court a very smooth one, given the fact that in state court, again, we handled misdemeanor traffic offenses, criminal offenses, and domestic violence and civil offenses. In Superior Court, the only difference is that you add the aspect of family law cases. Now, in the state court, the maximum sentence that an individual could receive as a result of being convicted of a criminal offense is 1 year in jail and a $1,000 fine. There are some limited situations where the offense is considered to be high and aggravated, and those fines can be escalated up to $5,000. In the Superior Court, you handle the most heinous criminal offenses there are. And those offenses are, the Superior Court has exclusive or sole jurisdiction over those heinous crimes, those being murder, rape, kidnapping, armed robbery, aggravated child molestation, aggravated sodomy, aggravated sexual battery, aggravated assault against a public safety officer with a weapon, and aggravated battery against a public safety officer. And again, those sentences can be escalated in excess of 1 year and up to life in prison as well as death if that particular crime calls for such a severe sentence. However, the similarities are in state court and Superior Court, the jury trial and jury selection process are exactly the same. The rules of evidence that are employed during the trial and during the prosecution of the case are exactly the same. The rules of criminal procedure are exactly the same. The burden of proof for the prosecution to prove their case is the same in Superior Court as it is in state court. The appellate review process is the same. The probation revocation hearings are the same. And if the judge is required to conduct a bench trial or a jury trial, the process is exactly the same. The warrant applications, the motion and bond hearings are the same. And the accountability court, in state court, the state court handles one accountability court, which is the DUI court. In Superior Court, each Superior Court judge handle one accountability court each, one being the resource court and the other being the the drug court. The reason these courts are limited to one per judge in state and superior court is due to the caseload that we have, the jury trial requirement that takes up a lot of time, and just the overall duties and responsibilities of the judges in state and superior court. So while we do believe that accountability courts are a valuable tool, valuable asset due to other responsibilities, the in state and superior court, each judge only handles one accountability court. Um, as a former law enforcement officer, I also understand the requirements for a valid arrest. What is required by law enforcement to establish the appropriate probable cause or the appropriate steps to arrest an individual to begin with. And so if the law enforcement officers did not follow those particular steps and the proper procedure, then absolutely the offense against the defendant could ultimately be dismissed without ever going to a trial, given the proper motions and briefs being filed on behalf of that defendant. And so I believe that with my judicial experience, as well as my 20 years of practicing law and my law enforcement experience, that I am well qualified to serve as the Superior Court Judge of Rockdale County. Also, the Superior Court handles civil lawsuits. Again, the process in Superior Court is exactly the same for trying a civil case as it is in state court. The parties have an option of whether they're filing for $1,000 or $1 million. The parties have an option of whether they choose to file in state court or superior court. Many times they will file in state court because, given the fact that state court does not handle domestic cases or family law cases, then their case moves more swiftly through the court, through the system in state court than it would in superior court. But there is no, state court has what's called concurrent or the same jurisdiction as superior court when it comes to lawsuits that are filed. Again, under the civil aspect of the cases, jury trials and selections are the same, rules of evidence are the same, rules of civil procedure are the same, and the burden of proof is the same. The Superior Court does handle cases of what's considered of equity, which the state court does not handle, and those are cases where the party filing an action is not necessarily looking for monetary damages. They're looking more to have an individual either perform a certain act or to cease performing a certain act. And so they're looking for a ruling such as an injunction or something of that nature. The cases in equity, there's not necessarily a resolution in law that will help the individual, but they're looking for the court to do what's fair in their on their behalf. And so when you look at the again, the state court versus the superior court, very slight difference that would make the transition very, very smooth given my experience. When it comes to family law cases in superior court, superior court handles divorce and divorces, adoptions, child support, child custody, name changes, things of that nature. Again, the state court does not handle family law cases. However, as an attorney practicing 20 years, I have handled cases in every aspect of family law and was fortunate to actually obtain custody for my male clients in two different situations over the mother of the children, because I was able to establish in court that the father having custody was in the best interest of the child. And for those who know anything about domestic and family law cases, you know that it's not an easy task to obtain custody for a male over a female. And so with the my practice of law for 20 years and having practiced in family law, I believe that my family law experience will be more than adequate to help with my transition into Superior Court. In addition to that, when you look at the probate judge's job, when it comes right down to it, the probate judge's job is an aspect of family law. When you're talking about family members fighting over assets and property of a deceased person, when you're looking at having guardianships for minors and adults, and again, you have one individual who think they're more qualified uh, to care for the individual than another, and you've got to resolve those disputes and also disputes over money and assets. Then those issues, when it comes right down to it, they're about as close to family law as you're going to get. And so, given my experience again in law enforcement and as state and probate judge, I believe that I am well qualified to succeed to the level of Superior Court judge.
Gosh, well, Judge, and also Bill Campbell wanted me and this is actually you'll segue into a question one of the guests had. So Bill Campbell wanted me to thank you for everything that you do for veterans in Rockdale County.
Thank you.
And then Stacy Bonner Lewis asked the question: besides the duties of judge, what new activities or interests would you bring to Rockdale County? And I don't think you have to actually answer that about what new activities that you would do or bring. I think there are several things that since you became probate and state court judge that you have brought to Rockdale County that are outside that judicial purview.
Absolutely. And I believe that the judge's duties do not stop on the bench. When we put on the robe and then that's the extent of our involvement. I believe that we should be involved in our communities. We should be in touch with our communities so that we know the issues that are going on within the community. And as such, I am a member of the Rotary Club of Conyers. The Rotary Club of Rockdale. I'm also a member of the Kiwanis Club, and we travel around to our various elementary schools in Rockdale County every year. We read to our first through third graders, and we give them a book every year that they can keep for their own library. I'm also a board member for Habitat for Humanity, and I'm a former board member for the Boys and Girls Club here in Conyers, as well as the United Way of Conyers. I'm a Silver Life member of the NAACP. And as Bill mentioned, I've worked with the veterans to bring providers to Rockdale County so that our veterans can get face to face with these providers and get clear answers to the questions that they have. Many times our veterans get frustrated because when everything is online and they're not technology savvy, they get frustrated and they walk away from benefits that they're entitled to. And so it's my intent to make sure that we bring individuals here to Rockdale County that our veterans can meet face to face and ask the questions that they need to ask in order to be able to successfully get the benefits that they so well deserve. Also, I started a scholarship in 2023 in honor of my mother, who was deceased in 2022. It's called the Mary Lee Bellinger Cuthpert Pinckney Memorial Scholarship. And on last year, we were able to present awards to 3 different students here in Rockdale County. And finally, I am a member of the H.R. Butler Lodge number 23, which is a Masonic lodge. I am a 33rd degree Mason, and I have been in the Masonic order since 1990.
Judge, there's a lot of interest in other things you bring other than wearing the robe. So, I mean, a couple other little things. I mean, there is a question about you had mentioned you had to resign. And then one of the audience members wanted to know, since you resigned, do we still have a state court judge?
We still have a state court judge. As of 2022, January of 2022, a second state court judge position was approved by the legislature. And so we still have a state court judge working in that capacity. The spot that I uh, was in will be filled by the governor through an appointment.
Gotcha. So, and then I think Alex had a little bit of he wanted to know, are you aware of any crimes currently that the Rockdale DA refuses to prosecute?
I am not personally aware of any, no.
Gotcha.
One thing I forgot to mention too is the Pearl program. I also started the
I
Pearl.
was going to double back on that.
Okay. I
since,
started the
since
Pearl.
that's something that I have actually used one time.
Absolutely. And so I started the Pearl program in 2017 while still serving as the probate judge. And it traveled with me over to a state court. It's something that was very personal and dear to me. The purpose of Pearl is to eradicate elder abuse and abuse of incapacitated adults here in Rockdale County. Many people don't realize, because Rockdale County is such a small county, that we have a relatively high number of elder abuse cases that are reported here in Rockdale County. And in order to address those issues, uh, based upon some information that I was privy to while serving as probate judge, I realized the seriousness of the elder abuse issue here in Rockdale County. And so in 2019, we were able to secure a $375,000 grant from the United States Justice Department to help us really get the program off the ground. Now we have a full-time coordinator of the program is Bernadette Snyder. We have a 1-800 number where you can actually report a suspected abuse anonymously. And once it is reported, we have an investigator that will then start to investigate that case. If we find that there is negligence or neglect there, we will have that individual removed from the premises, and those individuals that are responsible for the abuse or the neglect will be prosecuted. We have also been successful in recovering judgments against individuals who have misappropriated the funds of our senior individuals. So Pearl to date has been a great success, and we intend to continue with Pearl, and hopefully, our community. We try to get the information out there, get our community more aware of it, in hopes that our elderly individuals will not feel that they're victims that do not have a voice, but that if they are being abused or neglected, and it's reported to us, that we will certainly step in and give them some relief.
That's good. Well, Judge, I think that's all the questions that the audience had, and I think you and I covered a good bit of things that we wanted to cover tonight. So what I want to do now is, like I promised you, I wasn't going to keep you on all night. I told you right at about 30 minutes, and I'm going to keep that promise. So what I'm going to let you do, Judge, I'm going to let you close out. Just let the people know again uh, why they should vote for you for Superior Court Judge.
All right. Again, I am Clarence Cuthpert Jr., and I possess experience in all of the areas that are under the jurisdiction of the Superior Court. Um, I believe I possess the experience, the competence, and the character to serve as your Superior Court judge, the same as I have as your probate and your state court judge. And with your support, your prayers, and your vote, I will be your next Superior Court judge. I made the decision after much prayer and consideration to step out on faith and run for this position of Superior Court judge, leading to my resignation on March the 1st. And again, I ask for your prayers, your support, and your vote on May 21st. Thank you.
Judge, thank you, and we appreciate you coming on the show tonight. And I put in my little thing tonight. I'm going to talk about something else this evening. I'm going to actually talk about some pressing Board of Education uh, things that were shared with the show this week, and I think it's very important to the community. So if you guys would stick on here, we're going to say bye to the judge, and then we're going to talk about some financial issues with the Rockdale County Board of Education. Judge, I want to thank you for coming on. You're a friend of the show. You're a friend of the county, and you know you have my support.
Thanks again, Larry, for having me.
Thank you, Judge, and we will talk to you later.
All right.
Guys, it was great to have the judge on here tonight. Now let's shift gears a little bit, and we're going to talk about some possible financial issues at the Rockdale County school system. So, over the last couple of weeks, there have been several people reaching out to myself. They've reached out to some other people who've reached out to me, but I've had people reach directly out to me, and they're employees of the county, and they're concerned about they're concerned about ways that some accounts are being handled uh, with the finance department at the Board of Education, and they are concerned enough that they don't want to put their self out there because they're afraid they'll lose their jobs. We've just had the chief financial officer resign. There was a statement made at the board office he was retiring, and we find that's not accurate at all. He's not retiring. He's actually stepped away from the position, taking a little bit of a sabbatical, and then we'll be going to work for Walton County. I find it somewhat puzzling that an individual with the tenure that the former CFO has had would leave a job that's a few miles from his home and drive all the way to Walton County to work for the last number of years that he's going to do this. It's interesting, very interesting. I was at a HOA meeting this past week, and another candidate who happens to also be a current member of the board was asked a few questions, and he actually stated he gave us some detail about the budget coming up and said that the CFO had resigned, and that he felt that since the CFO was resigning and moving on, and that Boyd was going to be there, and they were going to bring a new CFO in, chief financial officer, that he felt there needed to be an audit done to be able to make sure the new person just walked in a clean slate. There was nothing hanging out there, and it would actually protect that person that is going to come in and assume the responsibilities as the new chief financial officer. Well, I'm going to go a step further. I believe that a forensic audit needs to occur because of just the unrest and the chatter that's going on in the school financial system right now, and the uneasiness that some current employees are feeling about the shifting of monies from certain accounts to other accounts. I don't think the superintendent is probably happy that there's going to be an audit request to be made. I find it interesting that that the superintendent himself did not request this, knowing that a long-term CFO had left the employment of the county. We were going to bring a new person in, and he felt comfortable just to bring that person in and hand over the books without it being thoroughly looked at. Now, I know that the superintendent's probably going to say, well, we do an audit every year. Well, they do a cherry-picked audit. Well, they will pick some certain accounts, look over these things, and if you get to pick the accounts that somebody looks at, you're going to pick things that have no issues. We need an outside independent audit that has full reign to look at everything. Because from what this show is hearing, and from credible, reliable sources, that there are some things going on with the monies in Rockdale County school system that should not be going on. And hopefully the board members will vote to approve this audit when I believe Justin Kinney asked for it, because Justin Kinney at the Lake Capri HOA meeting said he was going to ask for an audit. And if you guys didn't see it, I think Corliss Turner from Voices for Rockdale actually recorded that HOA, and I'm not certain which page it's on, Corliss, but if you could maybe share that information of what page people can go back and watch that HOA meeting, and they can hear for themselves Justin saying he intended to request an audit for the protection of the future CFO. I would, be appreciative of that. And then also, I want you to know it's in the full authority of the Rockdale County Board of Education to ask for an audit. And voila, Georgia Code OCGA 50-6-6 is one of the two codes, and I'll look the other code up, put it up later. But this is one of two codes that authorize a county Board of Education to authorize an audit. Now, of course, it's going to have to be voted on, and we're going to have a 4-3 approval. And you just notice what I said. We're going to have a 4-3 approval. I totally expect this superintendent to circle the wagons, try to get his 4 votes in line to stop an audit. Because I don't think he wants one. Actually, I think the DA may need to convene a special grand jury, and we may need to subpoena the former CFO and have him answer some questions under oath. Just my opinion. If I were on the board, I would actually not only ask for this audit, I would actually ask that we bring in the DA to do a special grand jury, because it probably should be done by an outside independent agency other than the board auditing themselves. That's just my opinion. Just my opinion. So, guys, what do you think about this? I mean, I see some comments in here. I see John Bowers has made some comments. I see George Telechek, the taxpayer, and George is always spot on with the tax issues and audits and those kind of things. And I think George and I both feel that any financial records of taxpayers' dollars should be open to the public. That if the public requests an audit should be done. I mean, the citizens of Rockdale County have requested that the Board of Commission do an audit, and that falls on deaf ears. I got a feeling this is going to be a fight to get this audit done, but I could be wrong, and hopefully I am, because you do have 4 of the board members of the 5 that are up for election this time do have opposition. So maybe some of them might feel some political heat. And the 3 who have opposition that usually support the superintendent, they may feel pressure to actually vote for an audit. Lisa Lancaster, you're 100% right. If there's nothing to hide, why in the world would the superintendent not want an audit? And again, I want to thank Justin. Justin point blank at that HOA meeting this week said he intended to ask for the audit to protect the integrity of the person coming into that position. And that's honorable. Justin's doing the honorable thing. Justin's doing the right thing. But I think Justin will probably get opposition from this. He'll probably get heat from it. He'll probably get the fury of the superintendent. But we all have to remember one thing. Superintendent works for the school board. It's something that I think that's lost on the superintendent. He works for the school board. He is an employee of the board. The board alone has the authority to hire the superintendent and relieve the superintendent of his duties. If this superintendent resists a request for an audit and circles the wagons and gets his allies on the board to fight against an audit, then voters of Rockdale County, take heed. Take heed. Any of these board members who vote against an audit, they don't deserve your vote. I think even if they fall to political pressure and vote for the audit, we need to change the direction of this board by not voting for 3 of the incumbents. Like I've told you guys, I do not consider Justin an incumbent. He was appointed to that position. He has not earned your vote yet. But I think things like he's doing now, requesting an audit, he's definitely looking out after your interest. And he has earned the right to continue serving on the Rockdale County Board of Education. I think I've said enough this evening. Why don't you guys think about it? If you agree with me, then let's start sending emails to these board members and demanding that they do an audit. I think I'll reach out to my friends at the Rockdale Voter, see if they can't put an email together that you guys can do an auto draft and send to the board members to let them know that you want an audit. Corliss just put something up. Right here. So I'll put that up there for you. Was the wrong one. Okay, here we go. Lake Capri stream is on Voices for Rockdale Facebook. So if you guys go to the Voices for Rockdale Facebook page, you will be able to watch the Lake Capri HOA meeting where myself and Justin Kinney were the guest. You will be able to hear Justin Kinney say that he was going to ask for an audit before I got a lot of the information that I got this week. And before I made this comment tonight, Justin Kinney was already going to ask for an audit. So I need a teammate like that. And I think Justin needs a teammate like me. So guys, I'm going to let you off here tonight. I think you got a lot to think about here in Rockdale County. Again, next week, Danielle Munoz will be hosting This Week from Rockdale. I will be the guest in the hot seat as Danielle interviews me as a candidate for Board of Education Post 1. I want to thank each and every one of you for joining me tonight. I want to thank you for supporting the show. And I want to thank you, each and every one of you, for getting the message out, sharing the word that we can change Rockdale and we can do it one vote at a time. And that one vote at a time starts with each and every one of you. Thank you and good night. And I will see you next Sunday on This Week from Rockdale.